Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving deep into a really old book, the Book of Judges. And, it has this surprisingly modern message about leadership and what holds a society together. It's a wild ride, and it's all built around this one powerful pattern, a cycle of absolute chaos that has way more to teach us than you might think.
So let's just get right to the heart of it with the one question that this entire book is obsessed with. What really happens to a group of people when there's no leader? When there's no central authority, no one guiding the ship. This isn't just some ancient thought experiment, it's the very tension that drives everything we're about to explore. All right, so to really get a handle on the chaos, we've got to understand the world they were living in. The Israelites weren't just in some random point in history. They were a nation stuck right in the middle of a huge, messy transition. I want you to picture this. Their incredible leader, Joshua, he's gone. But they don't have a king yet. Not for a long, long time. So they're literally a nation in between. And this era is totally defined by this giant leadership vacuum, which, as you're going to see, created the perfect storm for all the instability and crises that followed. Now, here's what's so fascinating about this book. It's not one continuous story. Nope. Instead, it's a bunch of different episodes that all follow the exact same, predictable, and let's be honest, kinda depressing pattern. This right here, this recurring cycle, it's the key to the whole thing. And this is that cycle. Seriously, if you can wrap your head around this one pattern, you basically understand the entire message of the Book of Judges. It's this four-stage loop of behavior and consequence that the nation was trapped in for hundreds of years. So check this out. Here's how it worked. Over and over again. First up, sin. The people basically forget who they are and turn their backs on their laws. Because of that, they get weak, and a foreign enemy comes in and takes over. That's oppression. Well, after getting crushed for a while, they finally have enough, and they repent. They cry out for help. And right on cue, a deliverer, a judge, is sent to save them. And for a little while, everything's peaceful. But then, yep, you guessed it, the cycle starts all over again.
So these figures who were supposed to break the cycle, who were they? We call them judges, but if you're picturing a stuffy courtroom with a guy in a black robe and a gavel, yeah, you can just throw that image right out the window. These leaders were something else entirely.
These judges were really more like charismatic warlords or tribal chieftains, and each one was totally unique. You had a prophetess and spiritual guide like Deborah, and then you had seriously flawed strongmen like Samson. There were military saviors, basically, who would pop up for a specific crisis to handle that deliverance part of the cycle. But here's the thing. They were never kings. They were just temporary fixes for a much deeper, permanent problem. Okay, so we've got the setting, we've got the cycle, and we've got the main players. But what's the point? Why tell all these repetitive stories of failure and rescue? What is the author trying to drill into our heads about how societies work or don't work? And here it is. This is the big takeaway. The book is arguing that all the political problems, all the wars, all the oppression, those were just symptoms. The real root cause of this endless downward spiral was that they had lost their shared moral and spiritual compass. Without that foundation holding them together, the society was just destined to fall apart. And this is the money shot. This is the famous line that just hammers the point home, and it's repeated like a drumbeat at the end of the book. It's the final diagnosis of the problem. See, the issue wasn't just that there was no political king on a throne. It was that there was no moral king in people's hearts. Society just fractured into this extreme individualism, where, as it says, everyone did what was right in his own eyes. And the result? Total chaos. And that leaves us with a really provocative question, doesn't it? One for our own time. The Book of Judges is basically a 3,000-year-old case study. It suggests that without some kind of shared ethical foundation, some common agreement on right and wrong, any society is just doomed to spin in these cycles of chaos. It really makes you stop and ask, how essential is a shared moral code for any society, ancient or modern, to actually thrive? Something to think about.